knows that Yike's not on this side of the map, so this dive should be easy enough to pull off.
Flashes forward, Bo starts to tank Mickey with the root though. Bo will fall 1-for-1, and now Yike has a whole litany of spells at his disposal. Dashes in with a Heartbreaker, and has broken the heart of the KC faithful here in the crowd. Broken Blade has the flank on here. Upset has Flash and Cleanse, uses the Cleanse but still gets stunned. Broken Blade exhausted though as he will fall. Yike going deep, and it's a huge fight for Carmine Core. Right, so Mikhails is actually used on Mickey with a re-engage, and Upset then uses the Cleanse but shut down by Yike, and now the follow-up continues. And perhaps it's Carmine Core who call foul of overstepping.
And welcome back to the LEC stage as the Blue Wall takes a second hit here in their debut in the LEC. And I have Yike with me to talk about this amazing game. Congratulations.
Thank you.
Good to have you back. I want to ask about playing KC because being the match of the week, it was also one of the most anticipated match in the LEC. And I know that Mickey said that this was the team that impressed you guys the most in scrims. Were they different today? And what is your take on this new team we have in the LEC and how things played out?
Yeah, it's true that they actually impressed us the most. I think they were the hardest for us to scrim against. So playing against them on stage we knew it was not going to be easy, and I think this game was not easy. We really had to do some weird stuff to try to win the game, and yeah, I mean, I think we just played good today, and I think them playing on stage, I don't think they're playing bad or worse than in scrims. I think they just had two hard opponents, Fnatic and G2. So. I mean, I don't think it's bad that they lost this game, so I think it's still fine.
Yeah, interesting week from the script writers, of course. But let's focus on G2 here, because 2024, 3 champions no more. Yike playing Vetheo here in your second
game. I'm happy.
Amazing one, actually. That got you Kia Player of the Game for the team. Tell me about this champion and the fact that you felt the confidence. Thank you, Berlin.
Thank you, guys. Yeah, I mean, Vetheo is one of my favorite champs, maybe my favorite champ. And yeah, I had a lot of 3 duty last year, so I was not really... I mean, I'm always happy like playing whatever because I want to win. But this year, maybe it looks a bit more different. I played Vi last game, and I kind of played tank Vi, so I was still playing a tank. But today I got to play Vetheo, and it made me really happy. And I'm happy I could perform well. I did like 1 misplay, but overall I'm very happy with my performance.
Really great game. I want to wait a bit more games before asking you about the meta, because we haven't seen much yet. But about you, Yike, this is your second year in the LEC. You got to do so much last year. You got the Rookie of the Season, you won so many titles, got to your first 2 international events. How did you refine your approach as your second year in the LEC compared to your rookie season?
Yeah, I mean, my rookie season was probably one of my best years ever, and I'm very proud of myself doing well that year. And I mean, this year, I think it's just mostly looking to improve. I think I want to improve so much on like the macro stuff, because I mean, I knew I have good mechanics and I knew I have good decisions, but just the macro I can always improve on, and like the way I communicate with the team. So that's my main focus for this year.
What was your first focus as a team? Because being the only team we have which stayed together, meaning the 5 members, you added Duffman, of course, to the coaching staff. But what was the first reflections you had at the team? Thinking about last year and moving forward, what was the first focus for you guys?
So I think our main focus was for sure playing mid games, because we realized at first that we were not good at it. And I think Mickey even said it yesterday. And it's true. We rewatched the games and we just realized that we were just bad in mid games, and that's where the Asians were very good. So it was a big difference, and it made it very hard for us. So now with Duffman, I think he just helps us a lot with that, and he just talks a lot every scrim day with us about mid game, and we improve a lot.
You guys all quote mid game, so we're going to pay extra attention to G2's mid game this year. Yeah, thank you so much for the
Thank you so much.
Good luck on tomorrow's game, and we have more to hear about what happened today. So Sjokz, back to you with Caps.
Thank you so much. So wonderful to hear from Yike as well. I remember last year, the first couple of times he did interviews, he was like a little bit apprehensive, and now he's a natural. We love to see it. But we have Caps here as well. Congrats. 2-0 so far. I got to ask you, because we hear about this mid-game and how bad it was, you think, last year. So do you share the sentiment, and do you also feel like you're making good improvements, at least in practice, in that regard?
I mean, definitely think like not just us, but like a lot of the European teams are struggling when it comes to like a lot of the especially like the Drake setups and just like the overall mid-game macro. And we've been kind of just falling further and further behind the last few years. And I guess now we're trying to reverse the process, right? And it starts with our week 1 here, and we have already learned a decent amount, but it's all about keeping it up, right? And not not getting, I guess, complacent, or so to say. Because even I think last summer, we also learned quite a lot from MSI, but then that was all we learned, and we kind of stopped improving as much. And then we came to Worlds, and suddenly there were a bunch of new things that we had to pick up. So I think that's something to look at.
Trymbi, do you agree that the mid-game, in general in Europe, maybe we've fallen behind? You, of course, experienced it also at those international events.
I mean, for sure, when you go to Worlds, for instance, I didn't yet get to go to MSI, but from Worlds at least experience, it feels like it's, when you play those mid-game games, the game just goes away, it's not on your hands anymore, and it is for sure frustrating, because that's kind of part of why as well it's so hard to improve when you just see, right, that they're so much better. And right, as Cap says, it comes down to daily practice and how you perceive stuff and how you try to learn from all of it. And that's something that is really nice to see, right, that at least we can see that G2 players are saying that Duffman helps with it. And it will be nice to see in the next games how it improves from week to week. Yeah,
even here the mid game was dicey, Yike said, but you wanted to highlight Yike, of course, with his Viego.
Yeah, I'm not surprised to seeing him get play of the game. Not surprised that Viego is one of his favorite champions. He's clearly played it a lot, because if we are to look at this fight early in the game, I would actually like to hear from you, Caps. Do you remember anything about what the communication was like in this moment? Because it looked really chaotic from an outside point of view.
I mean, definitely, because I think we didn't see Vi, so I was giving respect to her being around mid. So we knew that if we went for the bot play, we would have to be very fast, because otherwise Vi and Nico would collapse on us. But everyone felt comfortable that it was a winning play, especially after they got the one shot on Lucian and Vetheo got the reset. And then it did end up looking quite scary in the end. But I think even if they trade somewhat even, it will be favorable, and because I think I got 2 plays in the meantime. So if they feel confident that they can get an even trade, it's alright.
Okay, let's immediately also take a look at the Baron base race situation we saw. Is this part of why Yike was saying it was dicey? Why do you think the game went away from you?
I mean, it was definitely an interesting game to play. I think they had a very, very hard engage with the Vi and Malphite, and we were kind of struggling to both play the fights, but even side lane was also not easy against it. But I think that right here, I think Malphite all just got burned, and we were looking to go threaten the base, but then sadly they found the engage right before, and that's kind of where it comes from with the Malphite and the Vi, especially being very, very hard engage, right? And then we just tried to do as much damage as we could. We got the one turret, but sadly, they managed to base in time for the the base itself. Yeah,
it was a bit sad at the end. I thought we were gonna get a super big fight, but then Broken Blade was just hitting the Nexus by himself at the end. So yeah.
I got the last hit.
Oh, you did? Okay. Nice.
How do you feel playing the LeBlanc? Because obviously it's a very different style than playing a traditional mid lane champion. Do you enjoy it? Are you comfortable on it?
I mean, definitely a lot of fun to play the AD LeBlanc. I wanted to play it already last summer, but then there wasn't really the opportunity for it. And I think with this AD build, you're just a very big menace on the side lane. Even a Malphite who usually a LeBlanc can never even do damage to. So as soon as I start hitting him, he just has to ult away because there's just no escape. So definitely a lot of fun to play. And hoping we can get it tomorrow.
Yeah, indeed. I do want to play a little game that you talked about builds before, but we played it on Ready Check yesterday. It's called Spot the Imposter. So you're basically going to get an item and the build path, and something is wrong, and you have to tell us what's wrong. I think it's coming very, very soon. Finn was extremely good at this, crazy good. Okay, it's behind you.
So this is the magic pen item.
Mm-hmm.
So
what's it called?
The item?
Yeah.
I think it's Bloom... something Bloom.
Okay, well technically you only have to find the mistake.
And the mistake is the... Wait, which one of it is it? It's the...
Do you know it, Trymbi?
I mean,
because I'm a bit lost.
This is the magic pen one. The one that heals,
the
right?
Jewel, the jewel.
So it needs the jewel on the left.
And I think the jewel. Wait, actually it gives ability haste. It gives ability haste for sure.
Yeah, so it's on the left.
It's the left one. It's the left one.
Okay,
So
you're correct.
Yeah,
there you go.
Yeah.
Crypto Bloom.
Oh yeah,
Crypt Bloom. Sorry. We don't do that anymore. Yeah, correct. So do you like this game? We can make more of these. It's fun.
thing. It's fun.
It's like those cheat cards when you're studying for an exam, you know?
Yeah, pretty much.
Actually,
Yeah. In general, though, Caps, how have you found the mid lane now in the new season?
I mean, I like it, I think, at least so far. I think it's a lot hard to gank, so that's nice. The bushes are like further away, and there's like the one wall where you're like pretty safe. So I think it's been pretty nice so far. I think the items are also pretty nice. Some of them,
I guess, yeah.
some of them. I think, yeah, I like
That's
it.
good. Okay, we're heading into Fnatic versus Vitality. Trimby, what's your prediction?
I actually have one more question. Are you gonna
I
play
don't know if we
Hui
have
maybe?
time.
Like, you know, any Hui games maybe? How do you feel?
I mean, he just got hotfixed. I don't think it's coming until next week.
Actually, true.
So probably next week we'll see some way.
Okay, nice,
Yikes.
nice.
Okay, cool. And what's your prediction?
I mean, Fnatic will take it, I feel like, yeah.
Okay, that's the consensus, it seems like. Let's head over to our casters for Fnatic versus Vitality.
Thank you very much, Sjokz. I'm Medic, this is Jamada. We're still here after the Carmine Core G2 ruckus that occurred. What a game that was, but I'm looking forward to the next one. Fnatic versus Vitality. Fnatic yesterday obviously beating Carmine Core, Vitality losing out to GX. It's going to be really interesting to see how Vitality bounce back from that, because I think a lot of people have put them mid-tier or lower end of mid-tier in their tier lists.
Yeah, and I think it's kind of understandable to a point. I feel like a lot of the rosters also, there's a lot of known quantities in the sense of like GINX kept a fair amount of their core, Fnatic basically only swapped out the support, G2 is G2, whereas with Vitality it's kind of just the whole shift up minus Photon. So, you know, Daglas coming in as a rookie, someone who I personally got my eye on because he impressed me in 2020 summer when he came in to try and save the sinking ship.
Yep.
So yeah, I feel like for Vitality, there's not a crazy amount of high expectations, I feel like, community-wise, which always makes it very fun if they're able to bring up upset wins, which you never know could happen, even though Fnatic looked great yesterday.
They did look really good. So, but sometimes the lack of pressure really helps elevate a team, right? Like, when you don't have much on the line or when it's all doomed, it's like, okay, well, now we can just play the way we want to play and enjoy ourselves. Now, obviously, there's still pressure. Vitality sitting 0-1, Fnatic sitting 1-0. Usually 4 wins guarantees you a spot in our playoffs, in our top 8. We've seen a couple of teams get through with 3 wins, but we've also seen a couple of teams get knocked out with 3 wins. So 4 wins is the benchmark out of these next 9 games. I wonder if we'll see anything spicy in the draft. Obviously, Hylissang yesterday did bring out the Renata, but a little bit more known for his engaged supports. Renata kind of pseudo-engage with the ability to flash handshake, but Hilly's made Lulu engage by flash wild growthing himself in the middle of 5 people. So I think Hilly always sees the angle.
Hilly goes where he pleases. Well and truly, should be getting into draft right now. There you go. And again, our eyes should be on a lot of those high priority champions, your Kallistas, your Jaxes, your Rumbles. Nocturne will remain off the rift. This definitely also a bit of a personal favorite of Daglas's over the years as well. So keeping him off of comfort. We'll see exactly where Fnatic rather want to continue to hit. Is it going to be the bot lane with Carzzy focused bans? No, it will be the LeBlanc right now. I imagine we're going to continue to see it mostly banned out. We did obviously just see caps on it, but LeBlanc is just kind of bit too strong, I feel like, to really leave open ever.
She's so powerful. Her ability to just push out side lanes, to be safe in mid lane as well, makes it very hard for you to ever shut her down. Rumble and Kalista taken away. There's the Ashe as well. Wonder if Fnatic are looking for that first pick of Phelios. Obviously, Noah very comfortable on the champ.
Very, very comfortable. Vitality could also opt to not ban away the Varus and try and kind of make Noah make the decision on what ADC he may want first pick. Caitlyn also an option on the list if they need to continue to fall down the list of AD carries. Jax also still up and available. Xin Zhao as well. Caitlyn is the ban away, so let's see what Fnatic want to go towards. It's the Varus.
Varus first pick. He's just so safe. You can go for a bunch of different builds. We are seeing mostly lethality here in the LEC, but I have seen the Terminus Jack Show build where you, with Ginsu's on hit, can just go full tank as well.
Radiant Virtue may be dead, but I promise Tank Varus probably isn't.
I'm just looking forward to like the Unending Despair sort of build where you're just like, okay, you just get on top of me and I just do a lot of AoE damage. It's perhaps not viable, but it'll be fun in ARAMs from time to time.
The real answer here is we need to get Kerberos on the phone. He's the guy that invented the Tank Varus. See how he feels. But Xin Zhao, as kind of expected, very powerful. Does mean that Jax is up and available as a potential flex and answer into it in the jungle. And that second lock-in there for Team Vitality is Lucian. So probably opting towards a Milio, or of course the Nami is the other option. Personally, to me, I feel like Milio just makes Lucian scale even harder than the Nami does, but of course the options are in Hylissang's hands. And speaking of hands, Handshake will be available to Jin as he goes towards the Renata.
And it just gives you so much safety, right? You can go for a poke Varus with a bit of poke from the Azir. Renata stops any engage that comes out from the Xin Zhao or the Lucian dashing forward. It makes it a very difficult bot lane to have to play around for Vitality. Jack's still left open here. The Azir pick. Vetheo, well known for his Akali, and it is a matchup we know, but instead, Carzzy and Hylissang will be going to Lucian Nami, and I'm just saying, Lucian Nami doesn't do well on the stage in Europe. Okay, guys? It might be really good in scrims.
Am I costing you Dracos?
But it constantly loses, okay?
I mean, Fnatic did make Vitality have to choose between their mid lane and their support, and feels like Vitality did not want to give up to support bans and maybe go on to something a little bit subpar into a Varus or Renata lane. So this does mean that jungle bans a pretty easy path for them to now follow. The Vi's gone. Plenty of other engage champions that Razork could be very happy to go towards. Should likely be the options here, as there's the Orianna. Vetheo, you probably expect an Akali ban second here, but maybe they leave it up. Maybe they want them on the Akali. There's an answer waiting in the 4-5 for Fnatic.
I mean, the problem with Akali is into the Renata, you already have a bunch of safety for your backline. If the Varus is building tank as well, you don't have that Storm Surge, just pure burst. So it can be a little bit difficult for Akali to play into those champions. Can still just ban it away because you don't want to play against Vetheo's Akali. It's literally the champion that really made his name in the LEC, picking up Quadra after Quadra when he joined with Misfits Gaming. But there's the Orianna ban, the Vi and the Jarvan removed by Team Vitality. They don't want Razork on anything that has that early impact. The Jack's still left open. Gragas taken away from Photon or even from Vetheo in the mid lane. We have seen that flexed a little bit.
What will the option be now for this mid lane? So pinched. Like Vetheo, I mean, we mentioned the Akali, but now that you've kind of gone over the potential weaknesses, I kind of lean more towards what you're saying. It could be a very tricky one to pull off, but perhaps it's what they're going to angle for in the end. Fnatic, though, what will they look towards is now it's going to be the Jax in for Photon. So holding Vetheo's pick to R5, kind of giving him the opportunity to just see the whole composition here. Poppy wouldn't be too bad.
Poppy will be really nice.
It will neutralize the heck out of the Jax, but also dash on Xin Zhao, dash as well, of course, on the Lucian. So I feel like it'll be a pretty high value pick, and of course it's still a flex until the until the final pick comes in for Fnatic. So just give them more thinking time.
Razork was bringing out the Poppy last year as well, very comfortable on the champ. So I wouldn't be too surprised if that does go into the jungle, but as you say, still flexible. Fnatic have drafted a really good please don't get close to us composition. It's the social distancing comp, right? You ever try and get close, like 6 feet away, Sante helps with that as well, with the ability to remove someone from the fight. The problem for Fnatic is if they fall behind damage-wise, it doesn't really matter if you hold people away for a little bit because they are just going to be able to chase through your disengage. Vetheo picking the Xerath last here. Long range, lots of poke, maybe will help getting the Fnatic members low enough for the engage to really work.
And this is a really decent Xerath angle for the other kind of side option here of there's not a bunch of hard engage for Fnatic, right? It's pretty conditional and very short ranged at best. So Vetheo should have a pretty decent time in the mid lane, farming up, scaling up, getting to that kind of 2-item mark around the 20-minute point of the game, and then kind of just chunking people out really heavily. So I like this last-minute pivot for Vetheo. And it does give Vitality, to me, a lot of options around trying to answer the poke of what we expect to be a lethality Varus. And I feel like now there's a lot of pressure on Fnatic to try and shut down the mid lane if possible, and then try and shift that pressure down towards the mid lane where they've got that very strong 2v2 in the very volatile lane of the Varus Renata and the Lucian Nami.
It's going to be really interesting to see how these teams actually butt heads on the Rift, because we've talked a lot about, you know, disengage into engage, dashes into Poppy, but there are enough tools on either side that if a team gets a lead, they can get a stranglehold on the match, right? Even if Vitality can't get onto the backline that well, if Fnatic's frontline isn't that tanky, it doesn't matter, because they just work their way through the frontline with the Lucian Nami and then get onto the backline eventually, even with the poke coming out from the Xerath, right? It's going to be super interesting. I am trying to see if Vetheo has played Xerath before. I cannot find a game from him on Xerath, at least on Games of Legends. So possible somewhere in his distant past, at least, you know, competitively. Somewhere in his distant past, he's cracked it out, but it seems like the first time here, he's so good at it We gave him an extra 450 gold at the start to get double Dorans. You can see Photon as well, availing himself of the discounts going on in the shop. Obviously, the underlay there, slightly wrong, but we'll get that corrected as soon as possible. It looks like just lines of scrimmage from both these teams, Jamada.
Yeah, shouldn't be anything super spicy. I feel like you could at best kind of late invade maybe if you're Vitaly, but could be very, very scary. And I feel like both junglers will probably want to be on the bottom side of the map regardless, so not gonna go for anything too special. Now, I feel like, as I mentioned, the onus is a little bit on Fnatic here to try and shut down the mid lane just a touch. Now, terrain changes will probably make that either harder or easier, depending on how you look at it. If Humanoid can get a shove in and it's kind of synced up perhaps with a Jun and Noah crash on the bottom side, you could get a huge rotation in towards the mid lane. In that way, it's kind of easier to attack the mid lane. But again, with the lane being so wide, you can't really come through the brushes anymore. It's very, very difficult to make that one happen. So we'll see how Fnatic try to abuse the Xerath pick when and where they can, because I feel like Vitality have a very, very solid option in the mid game to really answer back some of that poke.
The issue with Xerath is as Hylissang falls low and has to flash. Level 1 handshake there from Jun. Sometimes you see Renata's going for the shield early on just so you can trade autos, but Jun pulls Hylissang back, burns the flash out of that Nami, and it's a very susceptible lane now for the Vitality support. Of course, Hylissang on Fnatic for a very long time. Flash, pull back, but there's the heal. Comes out before the Grievous Wounds. Noah needs a couple more auto attacks. Not quite enough flashes. Can't get it with the ebb and flow on Hylissang just in time to heal him up. And now Carzzy can turn this around. Heal used by Fnatic's bot lane. And in the end, it's 4 summoners to only 2 burnt by Vitality.
Yeah, Carzzy's holding on to his summoner spells, but one thing I really want to point out is the fact that Daglas, at the moment, he's doing what is effectively a full clear. He's probably going to skip camps and he's got to come and cover Vitality. Carzzy and Hylissang will be dove as Razork's making his way over. He's on vision, but I just don't think it matters.
And you just died. You go for Hilly first. Carzzy has the cleanse, has the flash. Razork might just be covering. You can see Daglas making a beeline for the bot lane as well. He's going to spot Razork as he comes across. Flash forward. They look for Hilly. Burst blood. Jun stepping forward. Razork tanking. Jun's going to try and get out of this one as Carzzy tries to turn it back around. Cleanses away, and now Daglas is here to join the party. He gets 1, he gets 2. 1 over to Carzzy, 1 for Daglas himself. And in the end, Carzzy surviving means he catches the whole wave as Photon proxies in the top lane, but it's probably the best state of affairs things could have ended for Vitality.
Yeah, things were looking really dire, right? Carzzy having summoner spells and not having to drop them during all of the trading really is paying off dividends there on the backside. Hylissang just kind of taking too many trades, makes him a very easy target. The escape path was almost there, but with Daglas skipping all those camps, beelining, as you put it, very apt for Vitality. Able to make a cleanup happen, and I think a very important thing on the back end of all of it is Carzzy picks up so much in terms of solo XP too, but Hylissang, very easy lockdown. Razork gets chunked out, but then Daglas with this flash forward, really nice. Wind becomes lightning as Carzzy takes out Jun and then flashes away to ensure his life isn't traded, and Daglas gets his own in Noah.
It's huge for Vitality. They don't have a lead in that bottom lane. Carzzy has reset, but the fact he didn't lose those waves to tower means he's almost level 4. Noah on his way there as well. Hylissang, though, still no summoners, and Razork spending his time down in the bottom lane. Can't quite land the stun into the wall. Daglas looking for an entryway towards the bot side of the map. Might just go for the Razorbeak steal. Ping comes out, though. Vetheo's TP'd back to mid, but Humanoid can move first, and Daglas might be in a sticky situation. Humanoid's about to finish his recall. Razork catches out, Daglas catches out Razork, gets the knock up, and Humanoid finished his recall and didn't think he could come and help his jungler. So huge from Daglas here. 2-0 now. There's a bounty on his head.
Just easy pickings for Daglas. Sees Razork go for the repeat play on the bottom side and simply just punishes it because he knows that Razork's going to have to come and farm camps eventually. Really nice to ensure that he doesn't get steadfast presence off the charge. Uses the E whilst he's knocked up just for the execution. So well played by Daglas, and the lead continues to grow for Vitality.
Yeah, it's huge. It is massive for them, you know, 700 gold ahead. Daglas has already got himself a tunneler, going up towards that first item. And in the bot lane as well, Noah and Jun still no flashes, only the Ignite available to them. Of course, Carzzy and Hylissang don't have their flashes either, but I think I take the Lucian Nami side of this. Ignite goes down to Carzzy, handshake dodge. Carzzy then dashes away. Jun goes down to half HP, Carzzy about the same. Hylissang low on mana and no real mana regeneration apart from that support item, so it looks like it might just be a recall.
doesn't want to commit the biscuit. So they will just take that reset. Trades in the immediate not going super well, as Oscarinin did hit level 6 there, isn't able to find the dash back. Photon as well ticks over. Of course, Oscarinin gets so much back on the ultimate cast. To use all the spells almost immediately again.
And the question for Daglas is, how do you accelerate this lead? Bot lane is explosive. We've seen that already, but summoners are starting to come back up. You can see Jun and Noah's flash about a quarter of the way. Same for Carzzy and Hylissang. Heal back up, cleanse back up. Do you continue to focus there, or do you try perhaps to look towards the mid lane where Humanoid doesn't have a TP and could overstep? Do you go for objectives? All of these possibilities as the Pathmaker is used in the top lane. Oscarinin gets the all-out as well as Razork goes in. Photon locked up, no mana on him. And he'll be shut out of the fight. Razork finds a gank in the top side, realizing perhaps the bot side is not working out too well for Fnatic.
Yeah, it wasn't going so well, and Photon just sitting a little bit too low for Razork's liking. It will turn into a grub takedown for Dragons, so that'll be the exchange between these two teams here. Tally were first on it, but these grubs should be taken down fast enough that there shouldn't be a response. So it will be a cross map with Fnatic picking up that kill. Goes into Oscarinin's back pocket, and he had a very, very solid performance yesterday.
Yeah, he did. Has yet to die.
Has
in
yet to die.
2024 on the LEC stage.
Well, give it about 10 minutes. I'm sure you've cursed it well.
I am pretty good at doing that. I was going to ask you, actually. Yesterday we got Ed, and Eddie for the Void Grubs.
Oh, yeah.
Do you have a name for the Void Grubs that you want to put out into the ether as a possibility?
Ooh. You put me on the spot a little bit, because
I've
I've not thought about it too much. I like Ed, and Eddie.
I like Ed and Eddie for the first one. I'm wondering if the second one should be renamed, right?
Oh.
Because someone suggested to me Blinky, Pinky, and Inky, and we don't talk about what happened to Clyde, you know, the other ghost, because there's 4 ghosts
in Pac-Man. Yeah.
Which I thought was quite fun. I also like Fed, and Fetty, because they're the second one, so people are getting more. That feels a little bit derivative, you know?
A bit. I'll give it a think. I'll get back to you.
Yeah, you give it a gander, you give it a mosey. Razork trading. Good steadfast presence there will stop Photon from jumping in. Daglas was in the area, has already hit level 6. You can see the lead in the jungle, where Vitality have their only lead, in fact, with Oscarinin and Noah having leads in their respective lanes. 20 CS lead as well for Noah, meaning that alongside the kill, just being able to out-farm, as now we've decided to get rid of all the gold.
But it's back now. Like you were mentioning, those short trades really haven't been going the way of Carzzy and Hylissang at all, and Noah and Jun have continued to have a very, very solid start to the year. Expect them to continue that trend. See what Fnatic actually end up doing with all of this pressure as well. Only one plate's been taken off the tower. Now that Razork doesn't have the grubs to worry about anymore, do you wonder whether or not after that one gank he will return focus down here? And I mean, he's on top of Daglas right now. Humanoid's here to respond too.
Humanoid with the first move, can look to push Daglas back. He flashes over the Emperor's Divide, and now Vetheo trying to put the damage in, but low on mana. And long cooldowns on the Xerath early on means he can't really do too much to help. Daglas shut down by Humanoid. Carzzy trading with Noah and Jun down towards this bottom lane. Both the ultimates burnt from the Fnatic bot lane. And Hylissang still only level 5. Only about a quarter of the way to level 6 as well. A long way away from having his own ultimate. Noah low on mana, but Jun has some.
In that mid lane exchange, you can kind of see for Vetheo, whilst he's got enough damage, it's just not really going to be there consistently for a little while. Long cooldowns early on as Carzzy and Hylissang continue to find themselves on the worst end of some of these 2v2 trades, and whilst Razork was there to pressure, the call here for Fnatic is just to go for the reset and see if they can find something on the way back out. Definitely a very scary, I feel like, King Fnatic in these early games so far. And I feel like Vitality in this game, they've got this 2-on-1 Xin Zhao. We asked earlier, how can he get back or continue to grow out this lead? You would have thought maybe the top side, right? Try to snowball the Jacks, but Razork got there first. The bottom lane's not going so well. Maybe you can look for another counter gank, and of course mid lane is Xerath set up, so it's a little bit hard to find your way in there. So I feel like Vitality for now are kind of almost at the beck and call of Fnatic. They might have to kind of wait for Fnatic to make a play and look for a response instead of being proactive.
The Dragon in a minute 40 is probably where they're going to look to try and find a battle, try and find a skirmish. The wonder always is do they have enough poke to get Fnatic low enough? If Oscarinin joins, he's already really strong.
Yeah, that's really the big thing about this composition from Vitality. They need their items to fight around, right? Those spikes are going to be huge. for it. Kraken Slayer for Carzzy, or just first time in general. First time for Vetheo. They need those online.
Flash forward. Handshake goes wide, the tidal wave comes out though, but Razork is here in time. Carzzy flashes. Good bubble. Razork has to tank it. Noah down to 250. In the end, Summoner's burnt on the Vitality side. Double flash, but Jun burnt a flash of his own. I think Razork burnt his flash to get in there as well. Does have that Hex flash.
I can't recall the last time I saw Carzzy and Hylissang have some of those spells this game. There's been constant pressure, and Razork is just sticking around. Daglas just come off a reset, and he was on the top side, clearing away his camps. Only now he's going to be able to respond. More recalls will come through. Pressure, one out. They feel happy with the exchange. Will look likely towards this dragon, unless they want to go towards the grubs. I mean, the opening for Fnatic now is kind of whatever they want it to be. Pressure up here as well on the top side of the map.
And they already got 3 grubs, so I think if it were me, I would go for the next set of grubs. Maybe bring Jun up here with a hostile takeover to make sure you can secure them. And it looks like that's what Fnatic are doing. We've seen this switch a few times. It's the new Rift Herald switch at the 8-minute mark. Yeah. Bring your AD carry and support to mid so they can shift down to bot. Humanoid's already shifted to bot lane himself so he can push out that wave. It makes it so much easier for Razork to safely secure Fed, and Feddy.
Exactly.
Or the Powerpuff Girls.
The Powerpuff Girls.
Could be Buttercup, Blossom, and Bubbles.
Bubbles.
Always forget about Bubbles.
Always forget about Bubbles, yeah. But I do like this lane assignment here from Fnatic as well, because it's just it's a min-max, right? You don't really lose any resources anywhere on this rotation out.
Humanoid even TPing into top. Photon does still have the flash. Emperor's Divide will lock them up, and the sun comes out, but it's not enough. Oscarinin tanks the tower for days. And now with the grubs and the mites about to spawn for them, that tower is going to fall mighty fast. Demolish as well available. Oscarinin won't use it. As the Void grubs fall, we'll see the Void mites spawn, and we'll see that tower fall rapidly.
Mighty fast, eh?
The true damage is absurd because you have to remember, at pre-14 minutes, towers have plates.
Yep.
Every time you take a plate, depending on how many people are around that plate falling, the tower gets tankier. Void grubs give you true damage, which means the tankiness doesn't matter.
I will say, they changed the Mountain Dragon's effects for a reason all those years ago.
They did.
But, of course, it does make the early game...
a long time ago.
It was a very long time ago, but it does, of course, you know, give teams a reason to play around this objective because it is such a powerful ability. And Vitality have traded 2 dragons for it.
Yep.
They're fallen behind a lot in gold, but they do have 2 dragons stacking up, and it will be a Hex Tech soul on offer, which I feel like most will still consider the strongest soul.
I mean, I very much agree with that, but if you can take 4 Hextech Drakes, it doesn't matter if you lost the first 2. You can see the gold lead balloons as well for Fnatic. 3k ahead, 1.3 in the top lane, almost 2,000 in mid. Humanoid's already got himself a Nash's Tooth and a Verdant Barrier, which now gives you a spell shield like Banshees on a longer cooldown. And Vetheo doesn't have a first item yet.
Yeah, there's a bit of a gold gap going on at the minute. Actually, yeah, let's get a look at it. Well, but
you can see it on the screen.
You can see it. Yeah. I was thinking total gold. That's my bad. But yeah, as you mentioned, Void Mites as well just kind of means that in general, if you're taking these objectives, you tend to really hammer home on those plates very, very early on, and the gold lead showing in those solo lanes. That's exactly demonstrating that for us. Vitality, I feel like now that we've got that Storm Razor on offer for Carzzy and that Ardent Sensor is there for Hylissang, you want to try and force something through them.
Yeah.
It will be a little bit hard if Fnatic do just kind of play at a distance and kind of yield a lot of mid lane pressure, as they're still going to get the rotations off anyway to these objectives.
And you can see Fnatic's game plan in action. Get a lead in the top lane, use that to get the first set of grubs, then use it to get the second set of grubs through, you know, better 2v2 fighting the bot lane, move your team to mid. Then get top tower, get plates in bot lane, get plates in mid lane, get the Rift Herald, and the map just opens up. You have so much more ability to get vision control. You can walk deep into the enemy jungle knowing you have safe routes out. You can crack these tier 2s, which give you more gold, 675, I think, with the local gold added in. And then you have the Void Mites, and they gobble up these towers, lickety split. You can see Razork looking for the engage as well. Vetheo, long range Arcano Barrage, isn't going to do too much. Tower does fall. Humanoid puts one up in its place, but more gold in the pockets of Fnatic, and Vitality are struggling to match this tempo. They do need 1-2 items on their carries to be able to fight, and even if they can try to fight, how are they going to find that engage that we were talking about?
Exactly, and it just feels like Fnatic are pulling them around the map to a point where they're not really going to be able to find an engage, even if they try, right? And with such limited options, Carzzy could flash away.
That's another one in how long will Carzzy's flash be up this game. Pretty sure it's been down more than it's been up. Yep.
Goodness me.
Timing it well. Oscarinin might be in a bit of a precarious spot, but just walks away. K'Sante doing K'Sante things. The hollow radiance making it very easy for him to push the wave. 1 minute 40 on the Hextech Drake Jamada, and you have to feel that's where Vitality will try to draw their battle lines. Getting a bit of vision in, trying to see if they can catch anyone out from Fnatic before the fight really erupts around the objective.
I think Oscarinin just based and basically bought a whole Frozen Heart.
Yeah.
He's at 2 items whilst poor old Photon is still looking for that Titanic Hydra. He's just about got it. And like you mentioned, this will probably be, if we continue on this trend, the closest in terms of items and gold that Vitality will have an option to fight at. I feel like your best choice might just be to yield this. You've got a 2-dragon lead, right? You've got that buffer. Try and cross-map, right? Try and get a top tier 1. See if you can get a little bit of chip damage in the tier 1. If you go head-to-head, whilst the items are even, you might have an opportunity. You may also just end up kind of flipping this one out. But they're here, they're putting numbers through the mid lane, so they want to try and secure a bit of a vision foothold before Fnatic can, and see if they can maybe, just maybe, catch them off guard with something like a Photon TP behind them.
I think the argument for cross-mapping is always a good one. The question becomes, as Humanoid is knocked up here, Daglas with the Crescent Guard forces Humanoid flash out, which is great. Interrupted his dash away as well with his knock-up. I think the argument for cross-maps is always a good one if you're just trying to get some gold back on your team. The question becomes, if this game is 5 minutes longer than it could be, do we win? If we can try to scale up. As Carzzy's called out with no flash, and yeah, Carzzy dies. Tidal Wave used on Noah, but he flashes away. Vetheo lands a bunch of the shots, and it's enough for double for Vetheo. They picked up Jun beforehand, and that could be what Vitality were looking for. Photon has the TP. He's going to push out top. Razork and Humanoid can start this up. Emperor's Divide available to them, but no flash, remember, on the Azir. Razork flashing forward, lands the knockup. Daglas chipped away at no Crescent Guard, but he flashes away from the Emperor's Divide. Now Vetheo joining from the side. Long-range artillery mage, doing everything he can. Carzzy's now respawned. Noah's still 5 seconds away.
Still 5 seconds away, but Dragon not started up by either side. It feels like Vitality were happy almost to kind of back away, but it does just give Fnatic all of this time. Photon, all the while, will pick up this tower. So that's a nice bit of gold kind of clawed back. Still over 1,000 gold behind. As I feel like Fnatic now trying to eye up this Dragon, deny this stack from Vitality.
I mean, I think what happened in essence was Vitality got the cross map without having to play for the Drake.
Yeah.
Right? The Drake didn't go down, they still got a tower, and they got the TP from Oscarinin, which means now Humanoid is the one who has to go and answer that push. Now we see Photon TP behind. Humanoid has to answer this TP, because otherwise Fnatic are just going to be collapsed on. Now, they did see Photon. Originally they didn't see the TP, it wasn't under control wood, but they saw him walking into the bush, so Humanoid answers with his own TP after pushing out the top lane. Photon will use the Hex Gates to join with the rest of his team, and now Vitality realize they have to answer this mid pressure, because otherwise they're going to lose that tower, and Fnatic get control of the river for the moment.
Maybe my LPL brain is still ticking, but I feel like that was kind of a lost opportunity there for Photon.
Yeah.
Had a pretty big time advantage in terms of the TP differences there between himself and Humanoid, but didn't want to pull the trigger, and now it's Fnatic with the positional advantage. They can pick and choose who they go on as Vitality enter the river.
See Oscarinin just blocking their path in. The Dragon over to Fnatic. Vitality can look to push out mid. You can see the pings going down on it immediately. They'll try to get this tier 1. They should be able to crack it unless Fnatic have something very magical up their sleeves. They have no TPs. They have no way to really defend this. Maybe Razork with a good ult can knock away the wave. Instead, it's just Oscarinin and Razork walking in to the river that dissuades Vitality from their plan of action. Humanoid no flash, does have the Emperor's Divide. Photon still has his flash. You can see Fnatic being in control of this top side. Razork, delay that, man. Razork, just wait 30 seconds, man. Who cares about tempo? Just wait, you can give it to your whole team. Razork!
Nah, stay low away now.
I mean, you should. That was 100% the right choice from Razork. I'm just the support sitting there being like, hey guys, it would be lovely to have some more mana. It would be really nice in this situation if I had some more mana. Obviously, if you wait till 20 minutes. Oh no, it wouldn't have happened because it has to respawn anyway.
Oh,
it has to spawn after 20 minutes.
After the 20-minute mark.
Ignore me, Razork's a genius, okay?
Yeah, exactly.
And you're seeing Baron spawns onto the Rift. So, in case you're wondering why I was confused and wrong, at 20 minutes, the next buff that spawns becomes a Void buff and will give the buff to your entire team. So the next blue and the next red. If it spawned before 20 minutes, as far as I understand it, which obviously isn't very far from the mistake I made, if it spawns before
Save
20 minutes,
as much as you can.
It still only gives 2 buffs over to your team,
exactly.
like it did last season. So Razork was 100% in the correct. In the correct?
In the
right?
In the right. It's okay. Got there in the end. But Vitality for now actually have... Don't look at me like that.
I mean, I'm just laughing at myself, I'm going to be honest, Jamada.
They have the pressure in the mid lane. If they can maintain this, it could give them an opportunity to slowly start to set up some more vision, pressure, and it could lead to an opportunity where, hey, you know, Photon does actually get that TP flank off, and they can start to look for something of a positive fight. One thing that I feel like we kind of alluded to in draft, but then didn't happen, is Noah's actually gone towards the on-hit build, despite having the Azir, so has played the Ruin King, going towards what I believe is now the build path of the Quintus Rage Blade, off the top of my head. I think it's got that half-bound axe in it now. Let us know.
Yes, it does.
It does, there you go. So, is looking towards that second diamond, despite all of the trials and tribulations that Carzzy and Hylissang suffered in the early stages. It's technically an item up from Noah right now, so...
Has that Cyclo Sword already complete. Has only gone for the magical footwear, not for the full boot.
Yeah.
So saving a little bit of gold there. I think you can kind of usually tell what a Varus is going to go build-wise, depending on his starting rune. So he went Lethal Tempo here, which kind of implies the on-hit. Often you see Halo Blades if you think you're going to trade aggressively in lane with lethality, or you can even see the Comet if you think you're just going to be a Q-bot later on. You just poke from range with that lethality. Humanoid and Oscarinin joining up here. Remember those grubs helping them take this tower. See with that purple effect, and that tower will fall in a moment. Fnatic get their 4th of the game.
It's just so difficult to answer, isn't it?
Yep.
When it's fully stacked up. And this is a massive pit of darkness for the side of Vitality. I will say, with Noah going towards that on-hit build, it does mean that if they ever do end up on the side of Baron, that thing is going to melt so quick with the Azir, who's very quickly approaching. Like Rabadon's death cap, Humanoid probably doesn't need too much gold for it, so waiting on that spike. If you can get it before this next dragon as well, I just feel like Vitality might not really have an answer in terms of DPS at all, as Vetheo still scratching for that second item.
Has already got that Lightning Jewel. Believe he is going to Void Staff. Could go to Crypt Bloom. But that doesn't build out of the Blasting Wand second, so Void Staff makes the most sense, because otherwise he's just bought a random Blasting Wand. That wouldn't make too much sense, although I have seen pros just say it feels good sometimes when it comes to itemization decisions. So,
hey, if it feels good, it has to be the best option, right?
I think he's the one that needs to poke away at Oscarinin.
Exactly.
And Oscarinin going for the Hollow Radiance, which magic resist predominantly, and also having extra magic resist on top of that. Makes sense for him to try and get some penetration early on. But the game slows down a bit. Baron has spawned. Drake's still 40 seconds away. We'll see which team decides to go for it. It not being sole point for either of them. Fnatic only having 1, Vitality having 2 means it's less of an urgent objective to fight for, and really you're just waiting for Humanoids, Rabadons, you're waiting for the Ginsu's Rage Blade that you mentioned that Noah has just completed, and probably waiting for that Void Staff for Vetheo as well.
Yeah, if Humanoid does pick up this dragon as a base, will be paused, and Daglas is actually behind him, so they could turn this into a slow play here. The rest of Vitality also rotating over.
Across as well. TP immediately by Oscarinin means that Fnatic only have 1 TP left. You can see Vetheo trying to trade with the rest of Fnatic. But they do still have a TP, and it's on Humanoid, so he can be the one pushing out bot lane while Oscarinin plays top, meaning that you have that Baron pressure. The Drake has spawned now, though, so Humanoid probably can look towards the top side. Instead, he's just going to join his team. The top lane abandoned by everyone. The minions will crash into each other. Gold wasted, but Humanoid doesn't want to invest TP as Razork goes forward. A 4-man knock-up into the follow-up. The hostile takeover is going to hit on 3. Carzzy trying to dash away. Humanoid dashing forward, and Vitality are just routed, but Carzzy manages to escape. Hylissang falls first. Vetheo low as well. Carzzy very low, but Vitality walking away wounded. Still 4 members alive.
So many blinking health bars. This should just be Baron. Even if we get a teleport out Photon, Daglas is so low, no flash. It feels so limited to find yourself in a position where you can get a 50-50, so they're going to have to just yield the Baron, go towards this dragon, put themselves on soul point, but it will be Baron picked up for that.
How quickly you can do this. Humanoid can now TP across, right? And Daglas and Photon are low. It's down to 6,000, but the rest of Fnatic are on their way. A disaster for Vitality, perhaps, as Carzzy was spotted as he walked into the bush, and Humanoid slides forward, still has the Emperor's Divide in the flash, but he doesn't need either to work his way through the Lucian. Daglas now caught out. Humanoid is so damn big. 5-0-0 now on the Azir. He has DPS up to the 9s, and Fnatic, that blue goes to everyone, that Drake goes to them all, and the Baron to boot.
Oh, very, very solid sequence of play, and it all comes off the back of Vitality originally attempting to find the pick onto Humanoid, but look at this ultimate from Jun. This is what really puts it together. Hits all 5 members, I think, in the end.
Oh, that's crazy. I mean, the hitbox a little wider than the particle,
you know,
perhaps.
it's how it is sometimes with League of Legends. Great flash forward from Noah as well to finish off Hylissang, but it's just a great combination of about 3 ultimates, plus that W with a Pathmaker from Oscarinin as we get the long play in, teleport from Humanoid, and Vitality just know they're out of it. They get a brief look in at Carzzy and Humanoid. Both great friends, still slays his former brother in arms. And yeah, coaching staff.
Hey, you should be very happy. It was well played by them. Had a couple of mistakes early in this game, but after that, it's been very strong from them. Photon now trying to push in the bot lane. Fnatic have a minute and a half left on this Baron. Already 3,000 gold off it, down to 2.5k. Positive now. Oscarinin will match Photon.
What's the
and
play,
you can see
Razork?
the damage, and you can see where it's focused here. Noah doesn't really have time to on-hit everyone because Azir is killing them from 4 screens away.
I know that's going to be joked at.
Yeah.
Noah's dealt less damage than Cassante. We'll see if that ends up being the final.
4,500 HP, 75 billion ability haste. He's a tank DPS mage assassin.
Hey, I mean, at least they took ability haste off of most of the tank items. Right?
True.
They are a lot more about being tanky as opposed to spamming out those spells. Anyway, Humanoid up here by himself, pushing away, chipping away that tower. Daglas, is he caught out?
It's a little bit. Chain of Corruption coming out. There's the root against the wall as well, and Daglas might fall. Razork, the only one there to do damage, though, as Noah and Jun were forced away with the tidal wave. Humanoid now pushing in the top lane. The Baron-empowered minion helping him out, and Carzzy's caught again. Feel like I've said that a few times this game. Very difficult for him to play in this situation because of how much of the map Fnatic control, but Carzzy a little bit overextended there, trying to defend his tier 2 in mid. Oscarinin trading with Photon. Still yet to die. By the way, Oscarinin went 7-0-8 yesterday, 1-0-2. Not as impressive as a scoreline, but still unkilled on the Rift, and perhaps I've just cursed him as he Pathmakers in, gets a stun onto Photon. Hylissang and Photon trying to do everything they can to work their way through this Cassante.
I can see the Riot mode spams in my head.
Can't kill Heartsteel, man. They were praying on the death of a Rockstar, but it just didn't happen.
Oh, Noah. It's a little bit awkward.
What are you talking about, Willis? He just sidesteps everything.
He brought his blue switch. Oh my god, that's on hit, by the way. But it's also a level 10 Nami. So.
Yeah. With 100% Imperial mandate. It's not the tankiest fish in the sea.
Nope, certainly not.
That goes to the sunfish. The sunfish. Very, very big fish that you find out in the deep ocean. They're massive, very incredible creatures.
Thanks, Medic.
It's all right.
I feel like Vitality need that little defense to try and pull something back right now.
I really do.
I had to get it back to us somehow. Fnatic 10k gold up, 3 inhibs. Vitality have to deal with. This kind of just feels like a bit of a done deal. It'll take a lot for Vitality to pull one through, but I've seen crazier things here in the LEC, so.
Yeah, rarely.
Rarely.
Like a 10k gold deficit when 2 of your inhibitors are down, only the mid lane. Oh no, all 3 of your inhibitors are down. In fact, mid lane was taken as well.
Yeah.
And Fnatic pushing in. No Baron to steal. No soul to take away. Perhaps no
Minion
hope for
waves are on
Vitality.
its way.
Yeah, minion waves in bot, mid, and top relatively synced. Perhaps a 5-second difference between them. Dancing on a slight offset, but it will be fine. They'll match up in the end. Here are the super minions, 4 of them so far. Starting to hit the Nexus towers alongside that Void Grub damage, and the first tower will fall. And Fnatic are looking to continue their undefeated streak here, go 2-0. Vetheo locked up. Humanoid tries to chip away at him. Oscarinin basically tanking the entire world now as he continues to step forward. Carzzy forced back to the fountain. And the Nexus in the eyes of Fnatic, but before it, a couple more kills perhaps. The Nexus falls, Fnatic now 2-0.
Very dominant looking game from Fnatic. The bottom lane kind of stomping Hylissang and Carzzy for a fair portion of it with the help of Razork on the wings. And eventually it became about that man on your screen. Humanoid was an absolute machine on the Azir. I felt like there wasn't really much an answer in the end despite that Xerath coming out. Didn't really put out as much as we were potentially hoping.
Humanoid really a monster in both the games we've seen from Fnatic so far. Often seen as a player that struggles in the regular season and levels up as it comes to playoffs and international. He will be joining us on the desk after the games as well, so we get to hear his thoughts on how the season is going so far. Still 7 games to play, of course, for Fnatic and for Vitality. Your player of the game votes at LEC on X, Oscarinin, Razork, and Humanoid, or Razork. if we want to give him that slight name change that we have managed to do. But yeah, I think it'll be very interesting to see who wins that. I think Humanoid
is going to win it as well.
Still unkilled, of course. After the break, obviously, Humanoid joining us at the analyst desk. We'll be right back.
Red Bull gives you wings.